Hello, it's Graham Cofe with another My Music. I'm going to be speaking to my friend Fred in a second.
Fred.
But first, let's see the man and his laptop and his accessories, because that's what you really want to see.
I need to get going, mate. I'll see you later.
That is the future of the office,
Nice.
Fred.
I want that stand, and I want that dude's black robe because
it's quite cool. Oh, well, we could probably sort you out the stand. I'm not sure about the robe. He might actually need that.
One out of two ain't bad. I'll take it.
No, absolutely. But there you go. You know, people are changing the way they work on a daily basis. Apparently, by 2035, there will be over 1 billion digital nomads on the planet. That's quite scary, isn't it?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not gonna all work in offices anymore. Is that a good thing, do you think, for mankind?
Well, I wouldn't know because I've never worked in an office. So yeah.
Well, there you go.
By choice, but probably.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of you as a creative and you as a musician over the years, has it been, fundamentally important for you to move around a bit and see things, if you know what I mean?
Oh, sure. I mean, if you specifically touring would be the obvious reference here. But outside of that, if you're asking if it feeds the creativity, is that kind of what you're?
Yeah.
I suppose, but I don't think any more than just
being stable for a minute.
Yeah, I think having both is probably ideal, but
yeah, well, we all want our cake and eat it as well, which is important.
No, I like to have both. I like to move around and play music after I've spent my kind of cave time.
And is it really cave time? When you're recording, are you just submersed in it?
Yeah, both writing and recording. I'm just now outfitted to kind of do everything myself. I mean, I finally got a digital audio workstation. I just bought a MIDI keyboard.
Wow, going up in the world.
I know. And I'm learning how to use it.
Yeah.
And, I've got some good friends who will loan me top quality microphones when it's time to cut vocals and stuff like that. So this has kind of been my dream, really going back 30 years, is to be totally self-sufficient and not really need a studio.
Yeah.
And I mean, technology is so amenable to that now. So I couldn't be happier with the ability to hide out and pretty much do everything at home.
Yeah, I was talking to another musician last week about that on one of these interviews, and I always reference what I'm reading at the moment. So I'm reading David Byrne's book, How Music Works. I don't know if you've ever looked
I've seen it. I have not read it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's quite interesting that, I mean, he kind of references in there the fact that we've kind of come full circle when it comes to recorded music, because recorded music in the first instance was actually really quite, should we say, simple. You would literally put something in front of whatever it is you were recording and just record what was essentially a live performance. Right.
One microphone, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Or a horn back in the early days of the Edison machines, literally a horn that actually captured that sound.
Yeah.
But then we moved to a period where recording was essentially the domain of the people in charge of the recording studio.
Yes.
And that meant that musicians were,
Yeah,
came in,
they're
sat
beholden.
in,
Yeah.
did their bit.
Yeah, I
but-
never liked that model, which is, kind of not necessarily by design, but by circumstance. I never really recorded in a studio. So once I did, but it was, very brief. I've never had the real sort of typical record company pays for the studio time you spend. It's just never been that for me. So, and I had an aversion to it anyway. I kind of liked the idea, at least, of being self-contained. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at now.
you've got to have a really, I mean, I think to enjoy that at all, you've got to have a really great relationship with whoever you're actually spending that time in the recording
that
studio
would
with.
be key. Absolutely. I've heard many horror stories about the opposite.
What have you done to my music? It's not sounding like me anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if you're lucky enough to find someone who has the skill and the ear, and you share an aesthetic, then that can be beautiful too. But
yeah, and patience.
And patience, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's going to need it. This latest album, you wrote that when?
That was right.
Context.
Yeah, right at the beginning of 2021. So, was that right? Now I'm getting lost. I think it was.
I think
it might have been 2020. It was 2021. Yes, it was the beginning of 2021. Right around. I think I wrote the first song and tracked it at home, just guitar and vocals, and sent it to Rob Ehlers on Christmas Day. I was being very rude, but I was so excited about it. I wanted, because we had already agreed that he was going to produce it, and I wanted to sort of have him get something in at the end of the year. So
you weren't being rude. You just saw that as an early Christmas present, didn't you?
Well, yeah, exactly.
You were just giving off some of your excitement. I mean, isn't that partly what Christmas is about? Kind of sharing and excitement.
Yeah.
And
well, he definitely took it that way. He's a very gracious, gracious man.
That's definitely good. Now, when I last spoke to you, and you just released the last album,
right?
You said that you were beginning to write already for another album, and you said as part of that you were very definitely looking at your guitar sounds for this album.
Right.
Did it come off the way that you wanted it to?
Yeah, I think if I have the timing or memory correct, I had just discovered DADGAD tuning.
That's right.
And on a classical guitar, and lo and behold, the whole record is written in that way.
Yeah.
So yes, it did pan out.
Yeah.
You might not notice it with the production. That's kind of the foundation of everything, but it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And any specific, apart from the different tuning, was there any specific noises you were trying to get out of your guitar that you had?
No. I mean, the guitar kind of. I mean, it's already has its own sound, right? And the voicing of DADGAD is so unique. So I didn't affect the guitar very much at all, really. Even when Rob got a hold of it and we did the mixing, not much change. We just kind of, cleaned it up a little bit, because I can be a little messy when I'm recording. But it's
a tuning that certainly suits your vocal range. Did you feel that?
I did. I was sort of, I'm learning more as I record, like where I'm comfortable both singing and, obviously with the guitar. So earlier stuff that I recorded was all in standard tuning, and I don't think my voice has dropped that far, but now, I can't sing some of those songs now in regular tuning. So I guess it has.
Well, yeah, apparently it's something that happens to all of us over time.
That's true.
Although I found that my natural lower range has dropped slightly, but I
Mhm.
can still sing falsetto over the top.
Cool.
So
This new record, it's an EP. I just finished the 6th song, and like I said, I recorded everything at home. This time it's not in DAD, but it's in baritone tuning
right.
on a standard acoustic, just tuned down. But I think I managed to sing the lowest note I've ever sung in a
Wow.
song. I mean, it's real low.
Do you know what it is?
No, I don't. But Kristen was listening. She's like, "How did you get that low?" Like, I don't think I could do it like on demand. It took a lot of takes to actually get it.
You weren't listening to like Barry White beforehand.
No.
To
I might
conjure
have
the
been
spirit of.
channeling him, but not. No, I did not listen.
Yeah. Now, in the middle of all of this as well, you actually released a cover of an Elvis song.
Oh yeah. I fell in love with that song. I mean, actually, I'm kind of rediscovering some of the old standards. Obviously, on Yellowthroat, there's a cover of "We Small," which I'd never heard before. That whole record is pretty amazing. I don't know if you're familiar with it at all, but
Yeah.
And so when I was writing that record, I was listening to a lot of the old crooner stuff, and I think it kind of informed, obviously, the singing on that record, but it also like opened me up to stuff that I hadn't paid attention to, stuff that I had kind of maybe ignored before. And so when we were on tour, this most recent tour, I think that song just came up on a playlist or something, and I just loved the melodies. I don't like the way that it's produced in the Elvis version, which is
Over the top.
over the top.
Yeah.
But I knew the song had some real beauty in it, and you know, I just knew I had to play it. I had to learn it, and I had to play it.
Yeah. It feels as though you're developing into a modern day crooner.
Yeah.
Take that the right way.
Okay. Oddly, yeah, I don't. I've never thought of myself as a good singer, and maybe I'm still not. But I mean, that would be probably my slant. Although I have another band record that is also in production right now. Rob's playing drums on that, and I've got some friends playing bass and guitar, and those are all recorded. They're just about to be mixed, and there's not much crooner going on. It's more rock, so it's kind of
you're letting go a bit more.
It's going back to kind of my earlier stuff, where there's a little bit more grit, less. The notes aren't as long. You know, it's still in the right register because it's all written on baritone, but so those would probably be my two modes. You know, a little more grit and then some of that crooner stuff.
Are you at a point in your career where you're kind of more comfortable with that now, that you're just feeling that it's nice to have a project over here which is, you know, different sonically from a project over there, and it's nice to just explore one and the other and not necessarily feel any kind of obligation to be anything in particular?
Yeah, I don't know that I ever felt that obligation.
Good for you.
But I mean, nobody paid attention anyway, so it was just me doing my thing over, you know, in the corner. But yeah, I basically find it usually just begins with a guitar, or whatever guitar I've kind of gotten magnetized by. I'll just find I've got songs, and I know I got a record. Yeah. So the Mess Kit, which is the band record, was written on a Dan Electro baritone electric, and I knew it was going to be a band record. Then I just bought this Penguin. I wish I had it here because it's such a cool guitar. Penguin, Gretsch Penguin. You know, the parlor guitars.
Yeah.
I love this guitar. I'm gonna have to get like a whole fleet of them because I'm worried that it's going to break and I'll never, I'm so attached to it, but that's what the record it's actually an EP. 6 songs I just wrote on that. So I'm just sort of driven
by the instrument.
And believe it or not, I'm actually, the next record is going to be keyboard based and djembe. Right. Yeah. So
where did that come from?
Just again, I think the keyboard I was messing around with the beginning of last year, and I just fell in love with the sounds on it. So it would be the same thing as guitar, just the sounds that I'm getting. And I just always knew that I wanted to record a hand drum kind of thing with vocals over it. So I'm getting this EP out of the way, and then I'm diving into the more experimental keyboard djembe. They might not be keyboard and djembe, but keyboard djembe, 2 different things, but if that makes sense.
You're trying to challenge someone at some point, I think, here to at some point in your career put all of these together in an eclectic playlist and make them all work together.
Yeah, I just, this is this EP that I'm working on is the first one that I would say I've produced because I have the capacity now. I have a home mixing thing with Logic, and I have a keyboard with MIDI stuff. So, I'm using 808 drums on a song, which, I've never done that before.
Yeah.
And it's just over in one of my regular acoustic songs, and I love it, so there's so much more, I don't know, potential for, it always will begin with kind of the song. I'm not really like a sound first. I'm a song first guy.
Yeah.
And the sounds are like just to sort of help illuminate the depth of or the breadth of the song. So
there's some nice tension in some of the songs on this Yellowthroat album. I felt that at times the guitar was pacing along, and then your vocals quite slowly delivered, and it's almost like there's a tension between the delivery of the vocal and the guitar. Did that make sense?
What kind of tension do you mean? Like
in the typically, if your guitar sort of like that,
yes,
the vocal would go with that completely.
I see.
Yeah, and that would, it would kind of set the tone for the whole, if you like, rhythm of the song. But there was kind of like the guitar almost felt like it was trying to get ahead of the vocal sometimes, and I really quite like that because I
guess I haven't really thought about it. I kind of just, I don't plan the vocals. They just sort of, the whole song process is very mysterious to me. I just write what I hear, if that makes any sense. I don't have an idea about like, oh, this would sound good here. The minute that thought, if it ever happens,
it's not a deconstructed.
It's not. It's not. It's organic, but I appreciate it. I don't really know what it sounds like to other people, so it's hard for me to say yes or no.
Oh, that's a bit like us and our voices, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
No one ever really understands what they sound like. I've always been fascinated by that. Have you? The fact that you don't really understand what your voice sounds like to other people.
Yeah, and when you hear recordings of your voice, you're like, ugh.
Whoa.
It sounds thinner, and like it's because you're not getting the resonance of the skull, in your ears.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
It's a very strange process. Actually, what some singers have done over the years to try and whilst they're recording, have that big sound in their head, coming back at them. It's quite interesting. You know, people have done all sorts like that you shouldn't do in a recording studio, like have all the instruments playing out loud and you then sing over the top of it, which means that obviously you've got, you know,
lots of bleed.
But
yeah,
no, you just record stuff dry, the vocal dry.
Yep.
Do you always record the vocal last?
Yeah, I mean, I've always starts with the song, and I usually once I've got the final lyrics, I'm usually tweaking just getting those words and syllables right. And then once it snaps, I know that it's ready. I don't really practice the song. I just start recording right away. So, which is probably stupid because I end up having to punch like crazy to get a doubled track that, you know, it doesn't sound like garbage, but I'm so excited to like just fly right into capturing what has just materialized, that's always been the way I do it. I don't want to wait, like, which is why I couldn't imagine like the old school style of like a band getting a bunch of songs and then waiting to book a studio. And like, I wouldn't be able to, I'd be jumping out of my skin.
Yeah.
I need the immediacy of like recording. As soon as I know the song is complete, I need to be able to put it down.
Yeah.
Just guitar and vocals. And then everything else can come later. All that kind of dressing is a down the line. So
now, because your voice is so down there. Well, one of the things I found again when I was listening to it is it was actually quite easy for me to harmonize with you up there. Have you does it ever occur to you to get a female harmony in there at all?
It has occurred. It just hasn't made any sense, like logistically, or I get too lazy about like pursuing it. I mean, I have the idea and then I think, yeah, that'll never happen. I'll never. But if someone were there and they, you know, I mean, it would have to be like the convenience factor would have to be extremely high for me to pull that off.
Yeah. One of the things I will say is you've done that psychological trick on me, which is that you've called this album. I presume what I've been sent is the actual artwork for the album. This blue cut up photo of you. Is that right?
Yes,
yeah.
It is.
Okay. So you call it Yellowthroat.
Yeah.
And then you've used blue. Now I always think that's quite interesting when that happens, because you know that kind of psychological trick that your mind plays when you read one color, because you're actually reading yellow, but yellow's in blue.
You know, I didn't do that consciously, but I like that you've picked up on that, because there's probably something to that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, what do you take Yellowthroat to mean when you?
I have no idea. You tell me.
I kind of thought of it as
kind of as someone that's not. I mean, yellow to me, or as a term, means kind of someone that's
chicken,
right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's it. That's the idea.
And
I'm a birder. I don't know if I've shared that with you before, that I'm a bird watcher.
Yeah.
And I remember
ornithologist.
And I remember reading a factoid about the common yellowthroat, that the male of the species is the one that it climbs to the top of the tallest little reed to sing its song. But even though it exposes itself to prey, it finds this stalk to kind of perch itself on and then let loose. And I was like, all right, that's I am a chicken and I can identify with that.
That's cool.
And
the other thing though about the color and the tone and everything of it is it's got that kind of classic jazz look to it as well, right?
Yeah, that wasn't intentional. I had a design for the cover that was the same picture but uncut, like that, uncut and unflipped. Colors were basically the same. Font was different, but Nick at the record, that disc drive, has a kind of good design sense. And he said, let me take a shot at it. And so he shot back with that, which was much more graphic. Mine was a lot moodier, kind of very like Leonard Cohen, just darker. And his had a little bit more punch, and I would say
it's almost like it's a John Coltrane album but gone wrong.
Gone wrong. Thank you. Thank you.
But you know what I'm saying?
I do.
It's kind of,
but I like it. I like it, and I do. I like the. I don't know if I'd ever be able, consider myself in the jazz vein, but certainly with that Wee Small cover, I was in that headspace of a kind. Maybe that heart space was a better way to put it. Mm-hmm.
Well, Charlie Parker was called Bird, right?
True that. Yeah.
So he was Bird, you're Yellowthroat.
I suppose the songbird thing is part of it. I mean, this is probably my most singy record yet. I really spent a lot of time. I mean, I feel like I learned something about singing on this record, and a lot of that was because of working with Rob. In the past, I had a very demo approach to things where I would just fire off a kind of rough take and say that's fine, that's the song. And Rob really wanted me to like try to pay more attention, basically. And I really have him to thank for that, because it helped me really focus on singing and learn something about how to use that instrument that I hadn't developed yet. So and I feel like I'm better for it now.
Also, interestingly, in terms of the titles, you've got these titles that go all the way down the record, which are singular words, and then you get to the end. And I mean, does that kind of deliberate as well? The fact that you've got just singular standout words for each of the titles, and then you get to the end, and then you've got in the wee small hours of the morning. It's almost like this is the close to this now. It's like that's where this finished, in the wee small hours of the morning.
I noticed that too, that I don't, at least on this record, on Yellowthroat, the single word, I think again part of that was just laziness, like not wanting to overthink titles, and just like spur of the moment, like what's the name of the song, and whatever word jumped out at me, that was the name of the song. In the wee small hours of the morning is the name of the song, and I couldn't shorten it. I mean,
no, you have actually got another one in there, haven't you? Passenger Side as well.
Oh yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's 2 words. What why Passenger Side? It's a really interesting title. I mean, it's quite a cool title actually for a song.
Thank you.
Because there's so many songs about being in the driving seat. It's quite nice to notice this other side. Yeah.
Yeah, I released that as the 3rd single recently, and was forced to come up with a blurb about what the song was about. So I hadn't really thought about it until I had to do that, because I don't write lyrics in that way. It's not really like I have an idea about a song. I just I take dictation of the words that come, and then I make sure I've got that dictation right. And then later I sort of maybe could put together a meaning, if you will, but I don't really like to do that even. But I do think the gist of it would be, for me, it's a kind of about the journey of love or romance, that there's a kind of, you're just along for the ride. No one's driving in some sense, if it's good. There's no sort of one running the show, and there's a couple images in there about possums crossing the street, a pair of possums crossing the street at midnight, just kind of this hidden away aspect of, and paying attention to the scenery as you're going along. So being kind of transported maybe would be the word.
Yeah. You've had fun with the videos on this as well. Again.
I have. I like making those. I mean, that's another aspect of the process for me is making those things.
You love a mask, sir.
Yeah, man. I don't really want to be myself.
Right. Is that what that's about?
I think so. I don't, you know, myself is reserved for people who know me, not for, you know, the public, so to speak. Even playing live is kind of a performance mask thing, not, but only for the sake of letting the songs be the show, not the person. I'm not a showman, and I don't have that kind of skill set. So my job
in video, it all seems a bit more fake anyway. Yeah.
Right. It's artificial, and you've got that kind of, it's an illusion because it's on film.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah. Live's different, and I've seen you play live, so I think live there is a relationship between the person that's playing and the audience. And if it's good, then it's an honest relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 It's not a you know, I'm up here doing this, you're paying to watch me thing. It's a, you know, like being around a campfire.
Sure.
Is the best way I'd put it, you know?
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Someone's playing, someone just happens to be playing the guitar. Everybody's emotionally involved in it. And it's, you know, I sometimes wonder whether musicians shouldn't just do that as well. Just have an evening where they kick it off and then everybody else just takes over.
Sure.
Would you enjoy that?
That's a good question. If it would serve the song, I'm so faithful to.
But I mean, you could actually keep your own song, right?
Sure.
I'm just saying that, you know, would you enjoy it if, you know, you for once of an evening that kind of audience stroke person performing thing was just broken down completely, and it was, I'm going to start off, I'm going to do some songs, and then if you bought a guitar, you can get up and you can join in. You can.
Oh, sure. I don't have any need to be, you know, the master of the stage. No, I don't. You know,
it confused the hell out of promoters, but
yeah, it sure would.
People are paid to come to this, but they're taking part in it now. Goodness knows what's going on.
That means you have to get up on stage next time you're there when I'm playing. All right.
That's fine. I honestly wouldn't mind. It's quite interesting because there's actually an event going on at the moment in the centre of London, which is very similar to that. It's a group of performers are meeting in the round in an outdoor space, and they're just starting stuff. And then people are from the crowd are just taking part. It's quite, you know, it's quite
that's
liberating.
Cool. That's very cool. Sure, absolutely. I mean that is. I mean, there's a whole form of music that's, you know, social music. I don't know if you ever listened to that American Anthology of Folk Music. Do you remember when that came out? It was divided up into ballads. Can't remember what. Social songs was one of the distinctions, and it's basically about these communally shared songs. So I'm all for that.
Yeah,
I'm all for that.
Well, again, mention him again, but David Byrne actually talks about that in his book. The fact that actually it was quite a long way into the performance of music or live music that actually people listened in the way that we listen these days. Initially, when music was shared, it was kind of a communal event. It was people would actually carry on talking and doing other things and whatever, and someone would be playing music. It was not until quite a lot later that actually people sort of stood and watched.
Yeah, I know that's sort of the awkward thing about it. There's a commodification aspect. There's the making people heroes. I mean, I don't know. It is a very strange phenomenon, and the music industry is kind of built upon that model, which I don't know.
It's being broken down all the time, though. The music industry. What is the music industry anymore? Anyway, I mean, isn't that back in the hands of? Well, I think it's two very different things. It's really interesting. Again, talking to someone the other day on one of these, we were both saying we cannot. It might just be our age, but we can't really kind of name what's in the charts at all now.
Yeah, that's true.
When I was young, you knew what was going on. You had you had like Top of the Pops and you had the Top 40, and everybody kind of took notice of it, and there was almost a race to buy stuff to put it up the charts and everything. And it's almost like, there's popular music stuff that's going on and popular culture stuff that's going on, and then there's a whole load of people that just are finding music that they like and enjoy and whatever, and they really couldn't care about any of this other stuff that's going on.
That's true. This streaming services and all that. Yeah, it's totally fractured. I suppose, it would be the industry is still people trying to make a living doing it. It's not music per se, but it would be the professional part of it still has markers of that kind of old model. But no, music itself is kind of everywhere. They're
sold out for 8 nights at Wembley Stadium, sort of thing.
Right.
Everybody in the world owns your T-shirt.
There you go.
That's what it's come down to. Have you a favourite track from this album, or can you not separate one off? I'm gonna plump for Elephant.
Yeah. I like that one. It's got the heavier, more rockin'. That's probably the rockinest tune on there.
Yeah.
I like Elephant a lot. I think when I play live is the very stripped down versions of these songs. They are basically the origins. Streets does it for me. So on the record, though, I don't know if it comes across. I don't know if I got that totally right. But I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite. I think I'm trying to remember what's on it now. I haven't paid attention to it in a long time. I'm on to the next thing. So I don't know.
Are you a bit like that? I'm gonna finish soon, but are you a bit like that? Are you always on to the next thing before you?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm obsessed with it when I'm in the process of getting it right and getting it, getting the mixes right and getting it to the realization. And then pretty much once I'm done with that, usually I'm already prepping for the next thing. So I don't really like to even go back to it. I don't even really like to listen to it again. I don't. But,
no, because when you play it live, it's a different thing anyway, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as you say, you can have your favorites live because how it's.
Yeah, it has a different, songs come across differently when you play them live. There's a energetic with how the song sounds in a room with other people there that you don't get from just listening to it in earbuds.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, long may it continue. Keep.
Thank you, sir.
Keep recording it. Keep getting the next thing out. When this album, is this actually available now?
Which?
Which? Yellowthroat.
Yeah, Yellowthroat is available through Bandcamp, my Bandcamp, and Disc Drive. This is the first thing I've done that's going to be available on vinyl, even.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
So,
cool.
Yep. Disc Drive, which is in Seattle, is releasing it on vinyl and CD.
Well, you actually managed to get hold of some vinyl.
I know. We're sort of, the production got a little delayed, so I think it's end of this, like in a few days, it should be available.
Oh, perfect!
In our
Just
hands.
in time for my birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my birthday at the end of this month, so.
Well, happy pre-birthday.
Happy. Yeah, I'm going to London for my birthday to watch.
Nice.
I thought I'd do that. Yeah.
Yeah. You deserve it.
Thank you. I haven't been out enough this year to watch live music. It's just been one of those things. But I did go to a festival in the summer. I did. When I say a festival, it was a small festival, so I quite enjoyed that because I really don't like the big festivals now.
Yeah.
It was just a few bands, and that was nice. But yeah, and I've been to a few gigs. But yeah, off to London for a gig on my birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much, sir. It's when you know you're getting old, isn't it? It's when people remind you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Why do we have birthdays?
I don't know.
So they can come up and remind us. What's after this? Then there's another album coming, another solo album on its way. There's another EP on its way.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to come first. The band record, Mess Kit, is full length, and that's basically in the mixing stage now.
Right.
But it might take longer to get that realized. Those songs were written and recorded last year, but the getting the whole band to put all the parts together is taking longer. The EP might come out before that because I'm working on it myself now. So that might be the end of the year.
Well, you've just got to remember that you've got to get something new ready to send someone at Christmas on Christmas Day.
Yeah, there you go.
That's got to become a tradition.
Yeah.
Happy Christmas. Here's a new song. Fred, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
One day, when you're next down Exeter way, Bristol, Exeter, I'll come and see you again, and this book's yours. Okay,
oh, that's very kind of you.
No, absolutely. I've had the pleasure of reading it. You can pass these things on, so there we go.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this again.
Thank you, Graham.
I'll speak to you soon.
Okay.
Bye for now, bud. Bye.